The sun dipped low, casting a golden hue over the bustling streets of downtown Arlington. The air buzzed with life, laughter, chatter, and the rhythmic hum of footsteps. But amidst the vibrant energy, a single moment would ignite a fire that would ripple through the crowd and beyond. This is a story about power, prejudice, and the quiet strength it takes to stand tall in the face of injustice. Asterisk, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more gripping stories like this one. Marcus Kane, a decorated Army Ranger on leave, strolled casually down the sidewalk. His attire was simple, a black hoodie, dark jeans, and boots, but his presence carried an air of quiet confidence. Over his shoulder, he carried a worn leather satchel, its contents a reflection of his disciplined life. A notebook filled with precise, deliberate handwriting, a dog-eared copy of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and a laptop. For the first time in months, his mind was at ease. No battlefield, no rapid-fire commands, no uncertainty beyond what coffee he'd order. He was heading to a local coffee shop to meet an old friend, a rare moment of normalcy in a life shaped by war zones and rigorous discipline. But normalcy was fleeting. The screech of tires shattered the calm. A police cruiser veered onto the curb, stopping inches from Marcus. The sharp scent of burnt rubber mixed with the city air. Pedestrians turned, startled. Conversations hushed. The door swung open with practiced aggression. Officer Daniels stepped out, his gaze sharp, assessing, predatory. He wasn't just looking at Marcus. He was sizing him up. "Hey, you!" Daniels barked, voice cutting through the street noise. "Where you headed in such a hurry?" Marcus paused mid-step. His expression remained unreadable, his posture relaxed but poised. He had faced far greater threats in his life than an overzealous officer with something to prove. But he also knew how these situations could go south fast. He turned to Daniels, his gaze unwavering. "Just grabbing a coffee." Daniels' smirk deepened, the kind that spoke of unwarranted confidence. "That bag of yours, what's in it? Anything I should know about?" Marcus tilted his head slightly, his calm demeanor unshaken. "You want to check it?" His voice was steady, almost challenging, though not aggressive. It was a soldier's voice, firm, controlled, lethal only when necessary. Daniels hesitated, as if caught off guard by the lack of fear. "I'll be the one asking the questions here," he snapped, his tone a notch harsher, as if trying to reassert dominance. By now, the scene had drawn attention. Passers-by slowed. A small crowd began to gather, sensing the crackling tension. Phones emerged from pockets, cameras rolling. Marcus remained composed, his quiet confidence more unnerving than any act of defiance. Daniels sneered, then snatched the satchel from Marcus, his grip unnecessarily rough. He yanked it open and began rummaging through its contents, his eyes darting between items like he was expecting, hoping, to find something incriminating. The crowd leaned in, breath held. Inside, Daniels found nothing but the notebook, the book, and the laptop. His frown deepened. "What's this?" he demanded, pulling out Meditations. His tone dripped with suspicion, as if Marcus had been caught smuggling classified intel instead of a philosophy book. Marcus met his gaze evenly. "That's a book I'm reading," he said. "You're welcome to borrow it if you like." A beat of silence. Then, the crowd erupted in laughter. A few clapped. Someone whistled. Daniel's face darkened, a deep red creeping up his neck. He shoved the book back into the bag with unnecessary force, his frustration mounting. This wasn't going the way he wanted. He had expected intimidation to work. Instead, he was the one losing ground. Marcus casually adjusted his stance, shifting his weight. His body language was clear. He was in control, whether Daniels liked it or not. "You still think I fit that description?" Marcus asked, voice calm but edged with quiet amusement. Daniels scowled but said nothing. Marcus reached into his pocket, pulled out his military ID, and handed it over without a word. Daniels hesitated before glancing at it. His eyes widened slightly as he read the words United States Army Ranger. The shift was subtle but unmistakable. The arrogance in Daniel's posture faltered. The crowd leaned in closer. Whispers spread. "He's a ranger," someone murmured. "That's next level," another whispered. Daniels cleared his throat, trying to mask his reaction. "This doesn't mean you're above suspicion," he muttered. But his voice lacked its previous bite. Marcus simply crossed his arms, a small smile playing on his lips. "Go ahead, officer. Show everyone what you find." The challenge hung in the air. The crowd was watching. Cameras were rolling. And Daniels knew he had already lost. Things are just getting started. As Daniels continued his futile search, Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out his military ID. He handed it to the officer, his gaze unwavering, his expression unreadable. The tension in the air thickened as the crowd leaned in, eager for what would happen next. Daniels snatched the ID and flicked it open with the same arrogance he had carried since the beginning. But his smirk faltered as his eyes locked onto the words embossed in bold lettering, United States Army Ranger. A flicker of uncertainty crossed his face, and for the first time, the overconfident officer hesitated. "You still think I fit that description?" Marcus asked, his voice calm but carrying a quiet authority that cut through the noise like a blade. The crowd erupted in cheers, their energy shifting from curiosity to full-blown support. Murmurs of admiration spread through the gathering like wildfire. "He's a ranger," someone whispered in awe. "Man's a hero, not a criminal," another chimed in. Daniel swallowed hard, his jaw tightening. He straightened his stance, attempting to maintain his composure, but it was clear that control was slipping through his fingers. "This doesn't mean you're above suspicion," he muttered, though his voice lacked the same confidence as before. Marcus let out a quiet chuckle, crossing his arms over his chest, his muscles flexing beneath his worn leather jacket. "Then go ahead, officer," he said, tilting his head slightly. "Show everyone what you find." A slow, knowing smile played on his lips, as if he already knew the outcome of this ridiculous search. The crowd roared louder, emboldened by his confidence. Daniels hesitated, realizing that no matter what he did next, he had already lost. The tension is reaching its peak. Subscribe to see how this powerful moment concludes. Daniels, realizing he had no grounds to detain Marcus, reluctantly handed back the satchel. "You're free to go," he said, his tone defensive. But Marcus didn't move. "Not so fast," he said, his voice low but commanding. "You stopped me, accused me of fitting a description, and rifled through my belongings in front of all these people. I think we're owed an explanation." The crowd erupted in agreement, their voices rising in support. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, his authority crumbling under the weight of public scrutiny. This is a moment you don't want to miss. Hit that subscribe button to see how Marcus holds Daniels accountable. Marcus turned to the crowd, his voice carrying a quiet authority. "This isn't just about me," he said. "It's about the countless times this happens to people who don't have a camera watching, who don't have the training or the platform to push back. This isn't justice, it's harassment, and it needs to stop." The crowd roared in applause, their support for Marcus unwavering. Daniels, now pale and shaken, stood in silence, his earlier arrogance completely drained away. This story is a reminder of the power of standing tall in the face of injustice. If you found this story impactful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful narratives like this one. Together, we can shine a light on the issues that matter. Thanks for watching. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments below. What would you have done in Marcus's shoes?